Welcome to Larry the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, let's discuss Rainbow, Straight Between the Eyes, released in 1982. This is the sixth Rainbow album, second album with Lynn Turner. I've talked about on the channel, huge Ritchie Blackmore fan. He's my favorite guitar player. I discovered Ritchie Blackmore first through Deep Purple, Made in Japan, and Machine Head. And I was a little bit late getting around to Rainbow, and I discovered Rainbow in a very sort of interesting way. We had just gotten a VHS player, a VCR player in our house, and we lived in a pretty remote area, and there was a store that had, man, they probably had 50 videos in there, maybe, and they had 3 or 4 music videos, and one of them was the Live Between the Eyes VHS video. So that was my first experience with Ritchie and Rainbow, and I brought it home and watched it, and it was just like, whoa. You know, my parents said, okay, you can pick out one video. It was expensive, I remember, to rent these, and you could only rent it for like 2 days or something crazy like that. But I just brought it home and I was floored. Ritchie's sort of classical sound to his playing, the way he was, his showmanship, and I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. And then I went out and I got Straight Between the Eyes. So the Lynn Turner era of Rainbow was what I heard first. I didn't get the Dio albums till after probably a couple years after this. My local store just didn't have them. Now, I am a fan of all eras of Rainbow. In fact, I did a video in defense of Lynn Turner. I'll leave that linked down below. I did another video too, I think like my 10 favorite or 5 favorite Lynn Turner era Rainbow songs. I linked to that. I'll link that video down below also. I think that, you know, a lot of people feel like that this era of the band is not heavy enough. It's too radio friendly. It's like Foreigner or something like that. And yeah, he's moved away from what, Ritchie moved away from what he was doing with Ronnie on those early records, but there's still a lot of great stuff on here. There's still a lot of heavy stuff on here. In a lot of ways, if you had, I made this point in one of those other videos, if you changed some of these lyrics around and just inserted dragons and castles and knights and devils and stuff into the song titles, into the lyrics, it would immediately make it more heavy. It's just that, you know, the lyrics on here, he gets away from the fantasy style lyrics. Lynn Turner, who in my opinion is an incredible, absolutely incredible vocalist, he has more of a bit of a smoother tone to his voice. You know, I wouldn't say Joe has an aggressive like voice or any kind of edge or gravel to his voice. He has a very clean but strong and just fantastic melodic voice. And I just think that this is just a fantastic album, and I think that there's some great playing on it. It's produced by Roger Glover. That's the other thing that maybe might turn some people off. I think it's produced fantastic. It's very warm. You can hear all the instruments. It has just all the frequencies are in check, but for some people, maybe the production of it is a little too smooth. It's a little too soft on the edges. There's nothing particularly edgy or harsh or aggressive about the production on this. But there's some great rockers on here. I mean, the first song, Death Alley Driver, is just, I love that song. It's the highway star of the Lynn Turner era, of the Rainbow era. Hard driving riff, that guitar solo in there, it's just fantastic. Ritchie is just shredding, and that he like quotes a little classical line in there. I think it's like a Beethoven line that he plays. It's just, I remember hearing that and just being floored, you know, because I just loved that sort of mixture of that classical blues and the aggressive way that Ritchie played, but still his melodicism. It reminded me a lot of Randy Rhoads. Stone Cold, you know, here's one of these songs that maybe is a little too mellow for some people, but I think it's just a fantastically written song. It's very melodic. It's very moody. It has a little bit of a dark sort of feel to it, an overtone to it. Bring On the Night is another great one. Again, upbeat. Again, if it was, you know, Demons of the Night, if he was saying that, it would automatically make it more heavy, if you will. But to me, still, it's super cool. I love that guitar thing that Ritchie plays at the beginning of that. Tight Squeeze, you know, bluesy, kind of funky, something you might have heard from Rainbow. Tearing Out My Heart is just fantastic. Again, it's another one that's really, it's kind of heavy. the guitar, when Richie busts into the guitar solo in that one, I just think it's so cool. Power, maybe that's a little bit too much straight ahead melodic rock, but you know what? They have these, I make this point in my other video in defense of Joe Lynn Turner. Even during the Dio era, there were songs that were just straight up kind of rock. Do You Close Your Eyes? You know, Black Sheep of the Family. I know that was a cover, but there were elements of that even when Ronnie was in the band. Mistreated. Love it, melodic, great. To me, this is all just great, like melodic hard rock. Rock Fever, another one, hard driving one that's just fantastic. And Eyes of Fire, man, this is like an awesome deep cut. And I think I might have done a deep cut Rainbow one. And Eyes of Fire is just great, man. It's got like kind of a dark vibe to it. And Richie's like playing one of his exotic scales there to give it this sort of certain feel. And again, I think if you just add it up, there is a lot of heavy stuff on here. There's a lot of hard driving stuff on here. I think that it's a great album, and I've always loved this album. My first Rainbow album, I pull this out very often. I think the production on it has, held up very well over time. Great playing here. Of course, we mentioned Richie, Roger Glover, not only producing, but playing bass on here. Bobby Rondinelli on drums. He's fantastic. I already talked about Joe Lynn Turner and David Rosenthal on keyboards. I just think it's a great, well-written, hard rock album where Richie really they're picking their spots more on here, whereas on like maybe Rainbow Rising, there was a lot of jamming, keyboard solos and guitar solos. Not that I don't like that kind of stuff. I mean, I love that stuff. But here, they're just sort of serving the song a little bit better. Everything is a little bit more focused. So, all right, there you go. Rainbow, Straight Between the Eyes. Let me know what you guys think of this album down below in the comments. And again, I have an interesting history. Discovered Rainbow through that VHS Live Between the Eyes thing. Has anybody ever seen that? I love that video. I've watched it a million times. So, all right, let me know what you think of this album. Let me know what you think of that live video there. Let me know in the comments. Till we see you again, make sure you rock hard, right free.